Nevada. Nevada, 25 delegates with the following bound delegates. 25, President Trump.
Madam Secretary, I'm Chairman Michael J. McDonald from the great state of Nevada. Home to Congressman Mark Amodei. Home to the Las Vegas Knights. Home to the Las Vegas Raiders. Nevada's battle-born state. Admitted to the Union by our first Republican president, Abraham Lincoln, just 1 week before the election in 1864. From the energy of Las Vegas, across the Great Basin to the majestic Sierra, crowned by the jewel of Lake Tahoe, Nevada is truly a land blessed by God, and we are privileged to call it home. All 47 members of our delegation worked hard and sacrificed to become elected, to come to North Carolina to re-elect our president. But due to the restrictions, they cannot be with us. Although they are not in this room, they are here in spirit, and they fully support our great president. So on behalf of our National Committeewoman, Michelle Fiore, our National Committeeman, Jim DeGraffenreid, the state of Nevada proudly cast all 25 votes for the re-election of Donald J. Trump as President of the United States.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules and procedures of this convention, Nevada cast 25 votes, President Trump. New Hampshire, 22 delegates with the following bound delegates. 22, President Trump.
Madam Chairman, I'm Corey Lewandowski, and I am the chairman of the New Hampshire delegation. On behalf of the people of New Hampshire, the Granite State, the first in the nation primary state, a state that picks presidents, the state that delivered the president's first victory in 2016, the state where our motto comes from General John Stark, who said, "Live free or die." New Hampshire is the state of such luminaries as Senator Daniel Webster and brave Americans like Krista McAuliffe. We are home to the first American in space, Alan Shepard, and Baseball Hall of Famer Carlton Fisk, whose game-winning home run in the 1975 World Series is remembered as one of the greatest moments in sports history. New Hampshire is known for our maple syrup, comedian Adam Sandler, poet Robert Frost, and New York Times best-selling author Corey Lewandowski. New Hampshire, the state that called the 14th President Franklin Pierce home, and the state of hard-working, God-loving Americans who stand for the flag and kneel only for God. Madam Chairman, I hereby cast all 22 delegates to my friend and the President of the United States, Donald John Trump.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules and procedures of this convention, New Hampshire cast 22 votes to President Donald J. Trump. New Jersey, 49 delegates with the following bound delegates. 49, President Trump.
Madam Secretary, President Trump and Vice President Pence have kept their promises to the American people, and New Jersey's delegation is proud to nominate them for 4 more years. I'm Doug Steinhardt, Chairman of the New Jersey Republican Party. On behalf of the Garden State, proud home of Alice Paul, Thomas Edison, Frank Sinatra, and the beautiful Jersey Shore, I am pleased to announce that New Jersey's 49 delegates are given to Donald J. Trump for President of the United States of America.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules and procedures of the convention, New Jersey cast 49 votes for President Trump. New Mexico, 22 delegates with the following bound delegates. 22, President Trump.
Madam Chair, on behalf of the good people of the state of New Mexico, a land of blue skies, limitless horizons, and unending vistas, a land where faith, freedom, and family dominate our values. We all saw Mr. Trump come down that escalator, and he gave voice to the fears and anguish that we all felt for this country. And then he began to speak words of strength and purpose, words like courage and liberty, prosperity, truth, hope, and life. And we saw him begin to rebuild this country. And then we saw that rebuilding interrupted by the COVID-19. So now we have a choice to continue the rebuilding, the revival, the renewing of this great land. New Mexico is proud to vote for that renewal, that revival, by casting its 22 votes for Donald J. Trump, the next president of the United States of America.
Pursuant to the announcement of this delegation and the rules and procedures of the convention, New Mexico cast 22 votes for President Trump. New York, 94 delegates with the following bound delegates. 94, President Trump.
Hello, my name is Nick Langworthy. I'm proud to serve as chairman of the New York Republican Party. New York is the proud birthplace of our great president, Donald J. Trump. It is where he raised his family, where he built his business. Our president embodies what it means to be New York tough. And when New York was facing some of its darkest hours a few months ago, our president stepped up and delivered for the people of the state of New York. The sight of the hospital ship USS Comfort sailing into our harbors gave a clear and bold message to the people of our state that our president was there to support us. Even our governor, Andrew Cuomo, congratulated him and thanked him for that tremendous support. And it was a terrible shame last week when that same governor went to his party's convention and lied about our president's leadership in this crisis. But New York is what's in turmoil, from our bloated budget deficits to our economy in free fall. We have crime ravaging our streets. That is what America would see if it allowed Biden-Harris to run this country. We need to send a loud and clear message. New York is proud to stand up and say, thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership for New York. Thank you for keeping fighting for us with that true New York grit. We have your back, and we are proud to cast our 94 delegate votes for our president, Donald J. Trump.
Pursuant to the announcement of this delegation and the rules and procedures of this convention, New York cast 94 votes for President Donald J. Trump. North Carolina, 71 delegates with the following bound delegates. 71, President Trump.
History is made in North Carolina with our first settlements in the late 1580s and as one of the original 13 colonies. History was made May 20th, 1775 with the Mecklenburg Declaration of Independence, declaring our independence from British rule a full year before the U.S. Declaration of Independence. History was made in 1795 with the first public university in America, the University of North Carolina. Today, it's the home of North Carolina A&T State University, the largest historic black college in America. History was made in 1903 when the Wright brothers, two boys from Ohio, came to the superior climate of North Carolina to try their new flying contraption. History was made in 1922 when WBT became first commercial radio stations in the country and is still broadcasting today just a few miles down the street. History was made in 2010 when, for the first time since the Civil War, Republicans won the control of both the North Carolina House and Senate, and while they inherited close to $6 billion in debt and budget deficits from the Democrats, they quickly turned that into an $11 billion surplus while passing the largest tax cut in North Carolina history. The Carolina comeback is real, and it continues, and it will get better when we elect Dan Forest as our next governor, and we return Senator Tom Tillis to the Senate. And history will be made in 2020 when North Carolina leads the nation in re-electing President Donald J. Trump. North Carolina proudly cast all 71 votes for President Trump.
Pursuant to the announcement of this delegation and the rules and procedures of this convention, North Carolina cast 71 votes President Trump. North Dakota, 29 delegates with the following bound delegates. 29, President Trump.
Madam Secretary, my name is John Trandom, Chairman of the North Dakota delegation. North Dakota is home to the biggest Republican in this room, outgoing National Committee woman Sandy Beeler. We're thankful for her service. North Dakota is the safest state in the nation because we respect life, because we value family as the cornerstone of our society, because we support private enterprise, because we exercise our Second Amendment rights, because we stand for our flag, for our military, for our police, and because we prayerfully support our President and Vice President. North Dakota's 29 delegates proudly cast all of their votes for President Donald J. Trump.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules of the procedures of the convention, North Dakota cast 29 votes for President Donald Trump. The Northern Mariana Islands, 9 delegates with the following bound delegates. 9 for President Trump.
Hafaday from the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands, the only territory with a Republican governor and a Republican majority in our legislature. In early March of 2016, Governor Torres proudly endorsed Donald J. Trump for president, becoming the only territory governor to do so and the 3rd governor nationwide. Unlike previous administrations, President Trump has never turned his back on our islands and our people, almost 8,000 miles away from Washington, D.C. President Trump and his administration have greatly helped us recover from 2 devastating typhoons. Our people are deeply patriotic, and our sons and daughters proudly step up and serve in the U.S. Armed Forces, making us one of the highest per capita in the nation. Tourism is our primary economy, and we strongly encourage everyone to visit our deep blue oceans and beautiful beaches. On behalf of Governor Ralph de Leon Guerrero Torres and the entire Republican Party of the CNMI, Madam Secretary, the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands is proud to cast its 9 votes for President Donald J. Trump.
Pursuant to the announcement of this delegation and the rules and procedures of this convention, Northern Mariana Islands cast 9 votes President Trump. Ohio, 82 delegates with the following bound delegates. 82 President Trump.
Madam Secretary, I stand for the state of Ohio. Birthplace of presidents, father of aviation, and mother of astronauts. Home to working men and women who appreciate a president that puts America first. A president who defends our brave law enforcement officers. I am Bob Paduchik, son of Anthony and Judy Paduchik, and I cast Ohio's 82 votes for Donald John Trump.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules and procedures of this convention, Ohio cast 82 votes for President Trump. Oklahoma, 43 delegates with the following bound delegates. 43, President Trump.
Madam Secretary, and Steve Curry, Delegation Chair from the great state of Oklahoma, the state which proudly provides the Senate with its two great senators, Senator James Inhofe and James Lankford, who are strong advocates and defenders for our national defense and for the protection of unborn lives. The state which proudly and unapologetically supports our military and the thin blue line of police officers which devote their lives to protect and serve. The state where we understand the difference between peaceful demonstration and riots and looting. That freedom is not available to you if you can't go to your place of business or drive down the street without fear of being beaten. The state where its people recognize and hold dear the rights given to us by our Creator and not by government, yet enshrined for us in the Bill of Rights, which includes, among others, speech, press, religion, and the right for our own self-defense and the right to bear arms. The state in which all 77 counties voted for President Donald Trump in 2016 and will do so again in 2020. Madam Secretary, our Chairman, David McClain, along with our National Committeewoman, Carolyn McClarty, Delegates Pam Pollard and Charlie Potts, and the rest of our entire delegation, cast its 43 votes for the current and next President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules and procedures of the convention, Oklahoma cast 43 votes for President Donald J. Trump. Oregon, 28 delegates with the following bound delegates. 28, President Trump.
Madam Secretary, Oregon, a state with a proven pioneering tradition and breathtaking natural beauty, has benefited greatly from President Trump's America First policy over the last 3.5 years, resulting in more and better jobs and an improved economy for our citizens. In stark contrast to our failed governor and the feckless mayor of Portland, along with the Democrat presidential candidate in hiding, President Trump has stood up to the violent thugs and denounced those who seek to destabilize our state with anarchy and destruction, giving us hope that we can make Oregon safe again. And even though COVID-19 has reduced the size of this convention, it has not reduced our enthusiasm for renominating President Trump and Vice President Pence for 4 more years. The Oregon delegation believes that the best is yet to come and is therefore proud to cast all 28 of our votes for President Donald J. Trump.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules and procedures of this convention, Oregon cast 28 votes for President Donald J. Trump. Pennsylvania, 88 delegates with the following bound delegates. 88, President Trump.
Madam Secretary, I'm Lou Barletta, Chairman of the Pennsylvania delegation. I'm honored to represent the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, also known as the Keystone State. As one of the first members of Congress to endorse then-candidate Donald Trump, Pennsylvania was the keystone that put Donald J. Trump in the White House with its electoral votes at 2 a.m. on election night, and we will do that again in 2020. I'm proud to cast Pennsylvania's 88 votes for the president that will make sure that we kneel when we pray and we stand for the flag, President Donald J. Trump.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules and procedures of this convention, Pennsylvania cast 88 votes, President Donald Trump. Puerto Rico, 23 delegates with the following bound delegates. 23, President Trump.
Madam Secretary, I'm Kevin Romero, and I'm the youngest delegation chair in this great and historic convention. The territory of Puerto Rico and us, in representation of 3.2 million strong and resilient American citizens, and to express our gratitude to our president and our amazing nation, with a view of achieving statehood, equality, and our shared American prosperity, and reminding us all of the bloodshed and the sacrifice of hundreds of thousands of Puerto Ricans and all the patriots that have served our great American armed forces, we proudly cast all our 23 votes for President Donald J. Trump.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules and procedures of this convention, Puerto Rico cast 23 votes, President Donald Trump. Rhode Island, 19 delegates with the following bound delegates. 19, President Trump.
Rhode Island, the ocean state where we like to make waves, as evidenced just yesterday by the hundreds of boats that cruised Narragansett Bay to rally for President Donald Trump. We have a long history of being rebels, from our founding on the basis of religious freedom to the independent man standing atop our state house. As the minority party in the smallest state, we carry on the tradition by standing up to the tyranny of 8 decades of one-party rule. We put forth common sense policies to help everyday Rhode Islanders who love coffee, milk, and doughboys, dip their clam cakes in chowder, celebrate the nation's oldest 4th of July parade, cherish our memories of Rocky Point, light the water on fire, and yes, we eat a lot of calamari Rhode Island style. We believe in promises made and promises kept, and we know that the best is yet to come. So the biggest little delegation of the state of Rhode Island proudly stands united to cast our 19 votes for President Donald J. Trump.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules and procedures of this convention, Rhode Island cast 19 votes, President Donald J. Trump. South Carolina, 50 delegates, bound for President Donald Trump.
Madam Secretary, I'm Henry McMaster, delegate and governor of the great state of South Carolina, where my wife Peggy and I are proud owners of 2 of Mike Lindell's pillars. South Carolina is also the home of the first in the South Republican primary, presidential primary. We were settled in 1670, and if Donald Trump had been around then, we'd have voted for him then. So today we proudly and happily cast all 50 of our votes for President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Thank you.
Pursuant to the announcement of the delegation and the rules and procedures of this convention, South Carolina cast 50 votes, President Donald J. Trump. South Dakota, 29 delegates with the following bound delegates. 29, President Trump.
Madam Secretary, I am Christy Nome. I am proud to be the first female governor of the great state of South Dakota. We have the beautiful Black Hills, the greatest pheasant hunting in the world, and we have Mount Rushmore, the most iconic monument in this nation. And it is honoring leaders that led this nation through challenging times. South Dakota is proud to be the home of Medal of Honor recipient, fighter pilot, and former Governor Joe Foss. We also are proud of the great Lakota leader, Sitting Bull, and author Laura Ingalls Wilder. In South Dakota, under God, the people rule. Our government respects people's rights. We love our freedoms. And we honor the men and women who have come before us to build this great nation. We are grateful to President Trump for bringing fireworks back to Mount Rushmore. He's brought jobs to our towns, and he puts America first each and every day. On behalf of South Dakota's 29 delegates, I proudly cast all of our votes for the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
South Dakota cast 29 delegates for Donald J. Trump. Madam Secretary, if there is no objection, the chair will call the next state to cast its vote. I will call on the great state of Florida to cast its vote for the Republican nominee for President of the United States.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Again, Joe Gruters, Chairman of the great state of Florida, home to over 21 million people, including our 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. We're known as the Sunshine State. We have the best beaches in the world. They're second to none. We have a great economy, and we have no income tax. We believe in the great American comeback, and we believe there's one leader that will deliver us prosperity once again, that will defend the rule of law, and that will bring great things back to our country. Florida is home to America's #1 anti-communist freedom-fighting Senator Marco Rubio. We're home to America's #1 senator in terms of the economy and jobs, and who's making Washington work for us again, Senator Rick Scott. And we're home to America's favorite governor, Ron DeSantis, who signed the toughest sanctuary city ban in the entire country. And he welcomes over 1,000 people a day from failed leadership states like New York, including individuals like our new favorite son, Donald J. Trump. It's for the 122 delegates that are back at home and the over 5 million Republicans that we have registered. And it is an honor for us to award Florida's 122 delegate votes to the next President of the United States to delay his full-time relocation back to his home state of Florida, Donald J. Trump, for the President of the United States.
If you want to really drive them crazy, you say 12 more years. Because we caught them doing some really bad things in 2016. Let's see what happens. We caught them doing some really bad things. We have to be very careful because they're trying it again with this whole 80 million mail-in ballots that they're working on, sending them out to people that didn't ask for them. They didn't ask. They just get them. And it's not fair, and it's not right, and it's not going to be possible to tabulate, in my opinion. It's just my opinion. We have to be very, very careful. And you have to watch. Every one of you have to watch. Because bad things happened last time with the spying on our campaign, and that goes to Biden, and that goes to Obama. And we have to be very, very careful. Have to be very, very careful. And this time they're trying to do it with the whole post office scam. They'll blame it on the post office. You could see them setting it up. Be very careful and watch it very carefully, because we have to win. This is the most important election in the history of our country. This is the most, you know, for a long period of time, I would say, well, 2016, how special was that evening? Was that one of the great? That was one of the great evenings. But we have to be very, very careful, and we have to win. Our country is counting on it. This is the biggest. This is it. Our country can go in a horrible, horrible direction, or in an even greater direction. And before the plague came in from China, that's where we were going. We were going in a direction like we had never seen. The most successful economy in the history of our country, the best unemployment numbers in history for African American, Asian American, Hispanic American, women, college students, bad students, good students, everybody. If you had a diploma, if you didn't have a diploma, it didn't matter, you were doing well. Everybody was doing well. And we were actually coming together. You know, success brings people together. Maybe better than anything else. Success brings people. So many times they say, we're divided. Well, we were very divided under President Obama. Very divided. People have no idea how divided. They didn't talk about it as much. They didn't say it as much. But we were really coming together. And I was speaking with Democrats all of a sudden because the success, the markets were at an all-time high. And by the way, take a look at what's happening with the markets. Take a look at your 401ks, which you probably do every hour. Take a look at your stocks. We're very close to breaking the record, and NASDAQ has already done it. You know, NASDAQ has broken the record, I think, 16 times already during a pandemic. Hopefully we'll call it the final phase of a pandemic. You know, Biden the other day said, no, he'd shut it down. He'd listen to some guy say, and he'd shut it down. We just broke a record on jobs, an all-time record. There's never been 3 months where we've put more people to work, over 9 million people. And again, we're just about ready to break the all-time stock market record. I mean, you look at it, we're just about ready to do it again. And what that means is everything else is going to follow. Very smart on Wall Street. Everything else is going to be there. The economy is coming up very rapidly. Our farmers are doing well. Our farmers are doing well because I got China to give them $28 billion because they were targeted by China. I got the farmers $28 billion, 16 and 12. That's why. So in spite of the pandemic, and our farmers did a great job in supplying food and all of the difficulties during this period of time, but we're getting ready to do things like nobody's ever seen before. But the best way to bring unity is success. Success brings unity, and we were there, and then we got hit with the plague. But we won't forget that. I just want to thank the people of North Carolina because, to be honest with you, I felt an obligation to be here. You have a governor who's in a total shutdown mood. I guarantee on November 4th, it'll all open up. It'll be fine, like most other states. On November 4th, you know, these Democrat governors, they love shutdown until after the election's over because they want to make our numbers look as bad as possible for the economy. But our numbers are looking so good. And frankly, I used to say a V, and people would say, well, maybe not. I don't think so. Some would say, no way. We have a super V. You're right. It's now looking like it's a super V. Our automobile numbers are incredible, both used cars and brand new cars. Our manufacturing numbers are incredible. We're putting a lot of manufacturing jobs to work that the previous administration said you'd need a magic wand. You'd need a magic wand for manufacturing jobs. I don't think so. I guess we had the magic wand, that's all. But we're putting them, again, we're putting them back. We're bringing them back. But think of your life just prior to the plague coming in. It was the best it's ever been. Your state had the best numbers they've ever had by far. And we had the best employment numbers also. We were up to 160 million jobs. We were never anywhere near that. And then we had to shut it down. We saved millions and millions of lives. We learned the enemy. We learned all about the invisible enemy, how it affects really people that are older, especially older people, the elderly, but older people with problems with heart, with diabetes, with other problems. And we learned, and most of the country is right now doing very, very well. They've done an incredible job. And to have a man sitting on television the other day say, oh, I'd shut it down. Oh, I'd shut it, like it's easy, shut it down. And by the way, when you shut it down, and we did the exact right thing, we shut it down, then we reopened, and that's what we're doing now. We're well into it. But if we didn't shut it down at that point, we would have had millions of people dead. Millions of people. You see the numbers. The job that Mike Pence and the task force and all of us together have done has been incredible, what we've done, what we've achieved. Whether it's ventilators, whether it's supplying equipment to governors that were totally ill-prepared. Many of the governors were totally ill-prepared. Nobody wants to say that, but it's supposed to work that way. Federalist. It's supposed to work that way. The governors are supposed to do it. Many of them did a fine job, and many of them came back well. But most of them didn't have the equipment that they should have had. Few of them had the ventilators, which are very, very complex machines and hard to make and hard to manufacture and expensive. And we're right now making thousands of ventilators a month, and we're sending them. We have all we can use. Our whole country, every state, we're stocked. We're stocked. And I always say it, I'll say it again. There's never been a person that needed a ventilator that didn't get a ventilator. Every single person that's ever needed a ventilator, with all that you've heard, with how much, they said we didn't have. Again, I took over a country whose military was depleted and whose cupboard on this front were bare. The cupboards were bare. We didn't have anything. We didn't have a thing. We had very, very little. And we did a great job. We haven't been given, and it's not for me, it's for the incredible people, the generals, the admirals, all of the doctors, the nurses. And yet you saw yesterday convalescent plasma. You saw remdesivir. You'll soon see vaccines pouring out years ahead of what they would have been under a more traditional, let's use that term because it's nicer, a more traditional administration, where they would have taken years to come up with this stuff. We're coming up with it like nobody's ever seen before. The FDA, Dr. Hahn, I want to thank him. Alex Azar, I want to thank him. They've come with things and done things that have never been done in terms of speed and, frankly, in terms of quality. If you look at what we're doing and what we're coming up with, drug companies are coming out with vaccines that are, I've seen some results already. It's going to be very, very soon. They're in stage 3 trials. It's unheard of. We wouldn't be there for 2 years if this were a more normal situation. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. And again, I felt an obligation to come to North Carolina. It's been a place that's been very good to me. We won a lot of victories here. I haven't been doing this that long, but I won every chance I had in North Carolina. I even stole a great chief of staff, Mark Meadows, right? I stole him from North Carolina. And he left Congress as a very popular guy. Could have been there for a long time if he wanted, and he came in. And by the way, you have a fantastic young gentleman going to take his place. He's a fantastic young guy, and he's going to be a real star in the party. He's going to be a real star in the party. So I just want to thank everybody from North Carolina. And I do want to show a little bit of a difference, because another state that's been very good to me is Wisconsin. And Joe Biden was going to have their convention in Milwaukee. And they didn't go there at all. They didn't do this. We did this out of respect for your state. We didn't do this for any other reason other than respect for the state of North Carolina, because we said we wanted to hold our convention in North Carolina, and I think you're going to remember that, frankly, on November 3rd. We wanted to hold our convention in North Carolina. So I did that out of respect. And if you had a governor that would have let us have some people. He actually told me this. We had an arena that holds 19,000 people. It was totally jammed, sold out. Every hotel was full, everything. And I called him. He said, but we have a shutdown going on. And according to the rules and regulations, now this is 19,000. He did say it. I don't think he'll deny it. But he said, according to the rules and regulations, the most people you're allowed to have in that room, meaning that arena, he viewed it as a room, is 10 people. I say, so Governor, so I'm at 19,000, you're at 10. Can we work something in the middle? And it didn't sound too good. So we really had no choice. It was a terrible thing, but I felt so badly because you could have, economic development money, all of the things that happened. But we decided, I was with Rana, the vice president, everybody, Mark, and we said, let's have our big deal, the roll call. Let's have it right here, and let's do it. And I'm going to show up, and I'm not going to tell anybody. You know, until a few minutes ago, nobody knew I was coming. Right? Nobody knew I was coming. So, but what's more important than the roll call? You're the ones calling it. So what's more important? So, and I have to tell you, we're going to do a lot of things. I'm just going to go over very briefly because we're going to make a speech on Thursday night. I hope you're all going to be listening. I hope, because I came in and I'm on Air Force One, and Air Force One has more televisions than any plane in history. They've got them in closets. They've got them on ceilings, floors. They've got more television. You can't escape a television. And I turned to CNN, and they didn't have this. They weren't having it. Can you believe it? They didn't have it. No, CNN didn't have our roll call. Then I turned to MSDNC, as I call it. MSDNC, which is truly, it is a branch of the Democrats. It's right. It's I wouldn't say fully owned corporation, but it's certainly a fully controlled, or they control them. Nobody really knows who's controlling who. But, they had it on television. I remember watching it, and it was interesting. You see the different states, and we say this and we say that. The great state of Alaska, the great state of Alabama, the great state of North Carolina, the great state of all of them. And it's very interesting to me. They had theirs on, but they didn't show it. Instead, they're showing the scam because they're trying to show the post office so that when their whole mail-in thing fizzles, they'll try blaming it on the post office. Okay, so they're showing these hearings that are very boring, actually. And they're not showing this either. They weren't showing this. And Fox had it on, but unfortunately Fox wasn't showing it too much because they had the announcers talking. I said, I want to hear what they're saying. The delegates, I want to hear what they're saying. So I think we had to switch over to C-SPAN or to OAN or somebody. But I wanted to hear them. But I can promise you a few things. Number one, we will not be taking the word God out of the Pledge of Allegiance, okay? Like they did a number of times at their caucuses, so they took the word God out. I heard it. I was listening. I said, that's strange. It's sort of weird. You've heard it all your life, right? Under God. All of a sudden, those two words are missing. I said, oh, he must have made a mistake. He must have, maybe the teleprompter wasn't working, or his book wasn't working that I have right here. Something wasn't working. Must have made, but the problem was then the next day I heard it again. I said, that's not a mistake. That's pretty, and then they immediately went into a mode. No, we didn't mean that. No. We didn't say it for the convention. We didn't say it. No, that's where they're coming from. You can say it or not say it. That is where they're coming from. Just like with energy, they don't want energy. Not working well in Texas, by the way. I just looked at a poll. And by the way, it just came out that we have received 51% in the big and very important Rasmussen poll. And my numbers actually went up during the Democratic National Convention, 51%. So think of it. Think of it. Thank you. I love this state. I like this place. And you're from all over the place, but this has been a good one for me. No, but think of it. So we're at 51% in Rasmussen. Do you read about it? Do you hear about it? You don't hear about it. They give you these suppression polls where they do registered voters instead of most likely. It's supposed to be likely. In other words, how about you? You're likely to vote. But how about you? You're registered, but I'm not voting. But see, under their plan, where they send these ballots, you don't have to want to vote. You get the ballot, and then they have harvesting. They get guys to go, do you want to vote? No, not really, but I have a ballot. All right, good. Who's it for? Sleepy Joe Biden. I'll put it here, son. Okay, can I have it? And they'll take it. In fact, harvesting is illegal in your state. They wanted to put a Republican, fine man, a pastor. They wanted to put him in jail because he harvested. Now they want to make harvesting legal all of a sudden. They'll put him in jail as a Republican, right? If he was a Democrat, they wouldn't even be thinking about it. In California, they do the same thing. No repercussion. In North Carolina, you had a fine pastor, a fine man, and they got him on harvesting. They wanted to put him in jail. And now they want to make it all so that everybody can harvest because they know it's not a good thing. So people that don't want to vote are going to be sitting there. They'll be making them, if you talk about 80 million ballots, it's 80 million, could even be higher than that. I used to say 51 million, now it's 80 million. They said, sir, you're a little obsolete with the 51. I said, all right, what is it? 80. I said, 80? How is it possible to think of it? They'll be sending them, they'll be dumping them in neighborhoods, there'll be people are going to be picking them up, they'll be bribing, they'll be paying off people to grab some. This is going to be one of the greatest scams, and it's common sense. This has nothing to do with politics. It's common sense. Anybody, you don't have to know politics. They're going to mail out 80 million ballots. It's impossible. They have no idea. Who's mailing them? Mostly Democrat states and Democrat governors. Well, supposing they don't mail them to Republican neighborhoods. That means they're not going to get them. So they're going to complain, and the election's going to be over, and then they're going to complain, and then they'll say, oh, well, we didn't get it. Big deal. In the meantime, you might lose the election. This is the greatest scam in the history of politics, I think, and I'm talking about beyond our nation. And they act like they're aggrieved. Like by saying this, we're saying such a horrible thing. We're not patriotic by saying this. No, we voted during World War I. We voted at the voting booth during World War II. The pandemic, we're doing very well, and people know how to handle it. Look at the crowds. They're doing very well. It's very safe. It's going to be very safe. If you have an absentee ballot where you request it, we're all in favor of that. Absentee, like in Florida, they have absentee is good. But other than that, they're very, very bad. There'll be millions of ballots. Take a look at New York. Take a look at Virginia. Take a look at New Jersey. All different cases. They just had one last night. Now they're thinking about recalling certain elections that took place with mail-in. And these are small little elections that are locally based, that are easy to run. Not millions, but thousands of ballots. Thousands. Hundreds of ballots. But these are small, and they can't control it. They said 23% of the ballots were defective. What does defective mean? It means fraud. It means a lot of things that we won't get into because I don't want to be accused. You see all the cameras back there? It's the fake news. I don't want to be accused of anything. But what it means is they're trying to steal the election from the Republicans. That's what it means. In a very, very nice way, I will tell you, they are trying to steal the election, just like they did it last time with spying, and we caught them, and that included President Obama, and that included let's be nice, Biden. This could only happen in North Carolina. But that included them, and they got caught. And then somebody said, well, what are you going to do? Well, we can't attack a president. Oh, I see. If it was me. They said, we can't attack a president. We caught him. We caught him cold. And they say, we can't attack. He was at meetings. talking about it. And by the way, this was spying before and after. And I think it's a disgrace to our country. I think we can never let that happen again. But now they're doing something that in a certain way is more dangerous because it's more effective. They spied on my campaign. You know what they found? Nothing. But this is big stuff. This is stealing millions of votes, and it's going to be very hard. Now, we're in courts all over the country, and hopefully we have judges that are going to give it a fair call, because if they give it a fair call, we're going to win this election. The only way they can take this election away from us is if this is a rigged election. We're going to win this election. We're going to win this election. So I'm just saying we cannot have these live, we call them live. Some people call them universal. I like the word live. These live mail-in ballots sent to everybody, including mostly people that never asked for them. Think of it. You're sitting there, you get a ballot. Here's the bottom line. It was just given that in the polls, believe it or not, that because the polls try and treat us right. That's why I respect Rasmussen, because they did well. A few of the others feel the same way. And they did well last time. Those are the ones that I look at, the ones that did well last time. And Rasmussen was very good. But if you look at it, every single vote that they have, every single vote, it's going to be looked at. A man is sitting, or a woman is sitting, waiting for nothing, watching television, has no enthusiasm. Because on enthusiasm, the polls are saying that I'm up by massive numbers, not just a little. I'm also way up on the economy, by the way, put it down. Way up. But I'm up by massive, and when I say I'm up, I'm talking about we're up, okay? So if you could, please. But I'm up by massive numbers on enthusiasm. So our voters are saying, I'm very angry about this. I'll go to the poll directly and vote. But their voters are saying, I don't care if Biden gets in. He doesn't have any enthusiasm. When you go to Ohio, when you go to Wisconsin, when you go to North Carolina, when you go to a lot of states, they have the Trump-Pence sign on every lawn. It's all over the place, right? It's all over. We don't see Indiana, too. Indiana's great. Bobby Knight. We love Bobby Knight, too, I'll tell you. We love Bobby Knight and Coach Holtz and all of them. They love us and we love them. Indiana's great. Thank you. But here's the thing. So if they don't have any enthusiasm, so you'd say, are you going to vote? I'm not getting up to vote. Okay, I want to watch television instead of vote. All right. But here's a ballot. It just got to you. And he opens it. Oh, here's a ballot. What the hell am I going to do with this thing? And then they have somebody knocking on your door. And they're harvesting. Hey, have you gotten your ballot? Yeah, I have my ballot. You going to sign it? Well, if you want, I'll sign it. Here it is. Get out of here. That's the most honest way of doing it. And that's unfair. That's unfair. Because now they're taking all of that enthusiasm that our party has. And we have tremendous enthusiasm. I think we have record enthusiasm. We have a base. We have a base the likes of which nobody's seen, including these people. Wall Street Journal did a fantastic story this weekend, a fantastic cover story this weekend on this base. Is an incredible base. Everybody here is going to vote. Everybody in our base. I mean, we have a tremendous base. They don't. They have no enthusiasm for their candidate. Because, frankly, Bernie Sanders, they have much more enthusiasm for him. But Bernie Sanders, excuse me, again, he's the greatest loser I've ever seen. This guy can lose and be so happy. Hillary Clinton, I want to use nice language, so I don't want to use a certain word. It starts with the word S-C. I don't want to use it because they'll say he used foul language while in North Carolina. But so I won't do that. But Bernie Sanders got taken advantage of. Is that okay? By Hillary Clinton. But worse, by the Democrats this time. Because if Pocahontas, Elizabeth Warren, got out of the campaign one day prior to the Super Tuesday vote, Bernie Sanders would have won every single state because Biden won by a little bit. And she didn't do well, but she took thousands and thousands of votes away in each state. If you add just a percentage of those votes back, that means that Bernie would have won easily the nomination. And I'm glad he didn't because he had much more enthusiasm. Yeah. And he would have had a base, much smaller base than ours, but equally, I have to say this, equally as enthusiastic. This base doesn't like Joe Biden.
They don't like Joe Biden. I think we're going to get a lot of votes. We did last time. People were surprised, primarily because of trade, because I know how other countries take advantage of us, and I understand that. And that's something that Bernie Sanders people really feel, because I understand trade. I've done USMCA now. I got rid of NAFTA, the world's worst trade deal. China tariffs. I mean, China had the worst year they've had in 67 years prior to the plague. The worst year they've had in decades and decades. And we had the best year we've ever had. But we took in billions from China. We never took in 10 cents from China. Never took in 10 cents. They took China for 25 years, and not only Obama, for 25 years, China was taking in anywhere between $200 billion with a B and $550 billion from the United States. I give them all the credit, number one, for being smart and outfoxing all of the people that stood here and their representatives. But China, we built China. We helped build. We gave them $300, $400, $500 billion a year. Because before that, and before the World Trade Organization and they getting into it, China was flatlined. It was after that happened. And then they took advantage of us because we didn't have people that were smart enough to see. And by the way, Biden would be the worst of all of them, because his son took out $1.5 billion and he gets fees on $1.5 billion, which is millions of dollars a year. Give me a break. China will own our country if this guy gets elected. We can't let it happen. We can't let it happen. So we have a big one coming. And just to finish, enthusiasm. So they take the enthusiasm now out of the equation, because they're going to go knock on everybody's door. Here, would you sign this? Yeah, I'll sign it. Nobody knows who the hell is signing it. And they now want to have it where the signature doesn't have to be verified. No, that's right. The signature doesn't have to be verified. And then they're going to play the game that we're not patriotic. What they're doing is using COVID to steal an election. They're using COVID to defraud the American people, all of our people, of a fair and free election. And we can't do that. And don't let them give you the post office stuff. The Postal Service, they do a great job. They lose a lot of money. I've said if they charged Amazon and these companies doing that a couple of dollars more a package that Amazon has to pay, not the customer, you know what would happen? Post office would start doing very well, thank you. Amazon dumps all the packages. Why should we deliver it? We'll let the post office do it, lose a fortune. So if they charged Amazon, now, of course, he owns the Washington Post, so when I get bad stories in the Washington Post, I wonder why, right? I wonder why. But I just tell it like it is, right? I tell it like it is. We've accomplished more during the first 3.5 years of this administration than any president in the history of our country. And I'm not even getting, pushback. I've been saying this for 2 years, for 3 years. I used to say for 2 years, for 3 years. But we've done more, let's say just about. This way they can't say, well, somebody won a war or something, right? No. We've accomplished more than just about any administration in the history of our country. We've secured our borders. We've built our wall, which will be finished very shortly. We brought back manufacturing jobs. We've defeated the ISIS caliphate and killed al-Baghdadi. We also killed the biggest terrorist, maybe of them all, Soleimani. We killed Soleimani, right? And al-Baghdadi. We appointed 300 new judges. By the end of the first term, we will have appointed 300. It's an unheard of number. That's because President Obama was very nice and he gave me 142 openings. And historically, you get no open. When you become president, first question you say, how many judges? They'll say, none, sir. Because the other previous president, they want to, it's a very important thing, federal judges. So I've appointed, we will have appointed 300, could be even more than that by the end of the first term. And I sat down, I said, first day I said, how many judges do I get to appoint? They said, sir, 142. I said, 100, because you know what? He thought that Hillary was going to win. Right? And the Republicans did not make it easy, let's say, but you know, if you have enough time, there's not much anybody can do about it. We ended up with 142 judges, and then we've added many, many, and we're going to end up with 302 great Supreme Court justices. And remember this, I'm saying that I'm demanding, actually, a list. Let Biden put up a list of the judges he's going to appoint, that he'll take them out like I did. I had 25, and we're going to take it out of that list. And we're going to be announcing a list over the next couple of weeks with the judges that we had, plus we might add a few more, so you know exactly where we stand. He can't do it because he would appoint, it's not him, he has no choice. The radical left will demand that he appoints super radical left, wild, crazy justices going into the Supreme Court. Your American dream will be dead if that happens. It'll be dead. And by the way, the next president, so I've had two. Some presidents have had none. You know, I have had two in a relatively short period of time. But I will tell you that the next one could have 2, 3, 4, and even 5. The next president. This is so important. This is so, whether you're talking about life, whether you're talking about Second Amendment, whether you're talking about military, this is so important. We have to do this. We have to win this election. But we brought back manufacturing. We rebuilt our military. We wiped out ISIS. I mean, think of it. When I came, ISIS was all over Iraq. The Prime Minister of Iraq was in last week, and he said, I want to thank you for defeating ISIS. I said, now, are you talking about me or the United States? You. Because when you came into office, it was a mess. They were all over Iraq and Syria, and you defeated them, sir. I said, good. Tell that to the media, please. Would you do that? And he said, I will, so let's see if he does. But we passed the biggest tax cuts and regulation cuts in the history of our country. We replaced the worst trade deal ever made, NAFTA, with a great USMCA deal that's going to keep our companies here, and it's going to be treating us very nicely. And I wouldn't say the other two countries were thrilled with it, but they were happy enough. And we did that, and that's another thing. They said, you'll never be able to replace NAFTA. You'll never be able to get it. And I got it. We got it through Congress. We fixed a lot of our broken and bad trade deals. We're getting $40 billion now from Japan. We fixed a horrible deal that was made with South Korea. Remember, I was a Hillary Clinton special. She said this will produce 250,000 jobs, and she was right. Except, unfortunately, the jobs went to South Korea, not to us. Okay? She said it would produce 250,000 jobs, and it did, to South Korea. And we stood up to China like nobody's ever stood up between the tariffs and the trade deal, which now, don't forget, when I made that, the ink wasn't dry before the China virus poured into our country, right? The ink wasn't dry. So I view that differently than I would have, because it's done very well. Last week they had the largest order of corn, the largest order of soybeans. They're doing things, you know, they're very smart. A lot of people, because they see my attitude, a lot of people would say, we're not going to order. They do just the opposite. I got a call last week, sir. In fact, Sonny Perdue is here, the great Sonny Perdue, Secretary of Agriculture. He's here. There he is. Is that right, Sonny? I got a call. They ordered it was the largest order of corn in the history of our country. Twice. The largest order of corn, the largest order of soybeans. So here's how smart. Somebody else would say, running some country, you know, they'd say, well, we're not going to do business with him. He's not saying nice things about it. China's very smart. Instead, they order more corn than we've ever thought possible. Right, Sonny? Order more soybeans than we ever thought possible. And now I have farmers calling me up, sir, we love China very much. Please don't be too tough on them, please. It makes it very difficult, Sonny, right? You know, we do too good a job sometimes. We've achieved American energy independence, and we're now number one in the world by far. And I saw where these phonies, you know, they want to end everything we've done. They want to end it. They want to go to wind. They don't even know if they want to go to wind. I think they want to just basically close up our country because they're taking away our strength. but they want to do something, but there is no such thing. Solar can't do it. I love solar, it's all fine. Very, very heavily expensive, very expensive. But they want to go to other forms of alternative energy. And I think that's okay, except we don't have them. And it's not going to power these massive factories. So we need, and hydro I love. It's one of my all-time favorites. Hydro I love, I have to tell you. That's the great dams. You don't see that too much. You know why the environmentalists say you can't build a dam there? But now we can, because we've done things that nobody thought were possible. Like, example, the Keystone Pipeline, we got that approved. The Dakota Access Pipeline, they were all bogged down, right? Right? I got it approved. Now we've got things that they said you couldn't get done. So we're energy independent, and they said we want to ban fracking. Right? No fracking. How do you think they'll do in Texas, Oklahoma, North Dakota? Louisiana's going to love it. There's no fracking. There's basically, they want no fossil fuel whatsoever. Okay, no gas, no oil, no coal, no nothing. Okay, so they don't want anything. Now they're getting killed because a poll just came out in Texas. Texas wasn't happy. They want no guns, they want no oil and gas, and they want no God. No God. So it's no religion, no guns, right? No oil and gas. I don't think you're going to do too good in Texas. George Washington could come back from the dead, and he could choose as his VP candidate the late, great Abraham Lincoln. And you're not going to win the state of Texas if you have no oil, no guns, and no religion. I don't think so. You're not going to win too many places. We eliminated Obamacare's horrible and very unfair individual mandate, which basically knocked out Obamacare. We've protected your Second Amendment, so important. We've protected your Second Amendment. We've cut drug prices, first time in 51 years. We got drug prices down. Now I did a favored nations clause, meaning we pay the same price as the lowest country that has the best deal. The companies are going crazy, the drug companies. They're taking ads on me. I said, I went to Mark Meadows. I said, Mark, they're killing me. They're spending, they have nothing but cash, okay? Big Pharma, they call it, for a reason. There's nobody that gives the politicians more money than Big Pharma. Nobody, not even close. So I said, well, look, if you're not going to negotiate a fair deal, we're going to do a favored nations clause to the top people, the biggest guys. They said, no, don't do that, favored nations. Don't. Favored nations, because, we have countries out there that are paying a tiny fraction of what our people are expected to pay. So if you have a country, Germany or others, they make, by the way, UK, all of Europe, Canada pays 50%, 50% less. In fact, people leave our country, go to Canada, pick up their drugs, and they come back home. Can you believe it? This is the kind of difference. So I say, no, I want a favored nations clause. I also want a rebate clause, a rebate where instead of the money going to the middleman, who have to be the richest people in the world, they get so much. They get more money, frankly, than the drug companies. At least the drug companies make a product. So I wiped out the rebate where now it goes to people, and I instituted what's called a favored nations clause. And it's very simple. You have that in deals. It's whatever the lowest price in the world. We're the biggest purchaser of prescription drugs by far in the world. So whatever the lowest price is that other countries pay. So if you have a country paying 10 cents for a pill and we're paying $2.50, and it's not such an exaggeration, believe me, then we get it for 10. So what happens is that doesn't work, so they'll go up a little bit, we'll come way, way down. So I said, favored nations, I want to pay what the lowest price is anywhere in the world. We're the biggest purchaser. We want a favored nations. They had a heart attack, and then I signed it. They didn't believe it. They didn't believe it. And now what they're doing is they have ads, millions and millions of dollars worth of ads, that I've been horrible to the people because of drugs, and I believe in socialism. Socialism. You know why? Because some of the socialistic countries get the lowest price. So the only thing I have with socialism is I want to get their price. Okay, that's the only thing. Other than that is, Our country will never be a socialist country. Okay? So we cut drug prices, and you could get cuts. You could get cuts as much as 50, 60, or 70%, maybe even more than that, on prescription drug prices. And wouldn't it be a kick? I'll use this. Wouldn't it be a kick in the ass if I lost and Sleepy Joe is president and this thing kicks in right about soon, right, in 30, 40 days, and people wake up after the election? Boy, Biden's done a great job. My drug prices just went down by 70%. What a great president he's been. He's great. And Sleepy Joe would say, I thought about that, but everybody knew about favored nations. But nobody had the guts to do it. And I'll tell you, I was called by many politicians, please don't do it, sir. Please. I said, why? They don't want to tell me why. I know why, because, they're politicians and they've been helped out. And I guess we have to understand that too. But the fact is that we signed a favored nations clause and a rebate clause, and your numbers are going to come down 60, 70%. And I hope you remember that on November 3rd, because nobody but me would ever do it. The other thing I've done, aside from very strongly protecting your Second Amendment, which was not easy. That was not easy. And by the way, they will take your guns away as sure as you're standing or sitting there. They will take your guns away. Either that or obliterate the Second Amendment. The right to bear arms. You have the right to bear arms, especially when you look at a Portland and you see how weak those Democrats are. The governor, the mayor, how pathetic. They let them riot every night. We're saying, let us come in and solve your problem. We will solve it for you in 1 hour, just like we did in Minneapolis, Minnesota, right? 5 nights, 6 nights. They have to ask us in. Let us come in. We'll solve your problem. They're almost used to it. This is the way our whole country would be if you ever let a thing like this happen. Our whole country would be. So we protected your pre-existing conditions, very strongly protected pre-existing. And you don't hear that, but we very strongly protected your pre-existing conditions. So we got rid of the horrible individual mandate, which cost everybody a fortune, and we strongly protected. Every Republican is sworn to protecting your pre-existing conditions. It's very important. You won't hear that. You won't hear that from the fake news. We passed right to try. We passed VA accountability and VA choice. We mobilized the largest response since the Second World War. We are doing an incredible job on the China virus, but I'm going to talk to you about that Thursday night. Will anybody be listening on Thursday night? And just very quickly, in the second term, among many other things, we'll continue with our military. We built the strongest military by far. It was depleted. Hello, nice Marine back there. It was depleted like you wouldn't believe. We have the best jets and rockets and equipment of any kind. Tanks made in Ohio. Lima. Tanks made in Ohio. So we're going to create 10 million jobs, I think, very easily in the first 10 months. They want to raise your taxes. All my life I've heard as a politician, you like to lower taxes, right? This is the only election where somebody said, we're going to raise your taxes. They're going to raise your taxes, quadruple your taxes. They're going to add on to the regulations so that all of these projects that we got started that are great projects, they won't be able to get built. So they're going to raise your taxes. They're going to raise your regulations, make it impossible to build a highway. It used to take 17 years, 18 years, 20 years, 21 years, long time in some cases, to get approval to build a highway, right? We have it down to 2 years now. We're going to have it down to 1. And it may get rejected for environmental or safety reasons, but we're going to know it very quickly. We're not going to take 17 years. We could name highways. They took forever. End up costing 100 times more, and they're not as good. Some of them go in circles, to get to a point. They want to miss a certain nest. So let's spend $37 million to miss. Look, we've got to be smart. We've got to be smart. We've got to win an election. Also, we're going to create tax credits for companies that bring our jobs back from China and other countries and impose tariffs. on countries that take advantage of the United States, and they've been taking advantage of us for years and years, and I've already done it in certain cases. We have countries that tariff us and we don't tariff them. So they tariff us. It's very simple. It's called reciprocal. They tariff us, we tariff them. We are going to fully fund law enforcement and hire more police. We're going to go with school choice, and we've made a lot of progress on school choice for every student in America. We're going to continue to expand opportunity zones. There has been nothing better. Don't forget, it was us together, that got criminal justice reform done. The greatest thing for the black community, African-American community. They came and they said, we can't believe it. Obama didn't even try. And not only that, I got funded the historically black colleges and universities. I got them funded. They weren't funded. They were year to year. They didn't know if they were going to be around for another year. And they'd come into the White House, and after 3 years, I said, why do you guys keep coming back? Well, it's a year-to-year deal. I said, that's not fair. So you have to come back every year. And we got them long-term financing and long-term funding. Nobody's done more for the historically black colleges and universities than Donald Trump. Nobody. Nobody's done more for the African-American community. No president has done as much as anybody since Abraham Lincoln. It's true. It's true. Criminal justice reform, opportunity zones with Tim Scott of South Carolina. He's a great senator. He's a great gentleman. Tim Scott is fantastic. Opportunity zones. But think of it, criminal justice reform, opportunity zones, the colleges and universities. What we've done has been amazing. But the most important thing is, prior to the virus, the greatest job numbers in the history of the African-American community, the Hispanic community, and the Asian, as I said. So I just want to thank everybody. We're going to get rid of our sanctuary cities as soon as we can so that they don't protect. We put NASA back in action. NASA had grass growing through its runways. It had grass growing through the cracks of its runways. It was closed, essentially just a disaster. Now it's the #1 space center anywhere in the world by far. You saw the ships going up. And for some reason, a lot of rich people like rockets going up. And so we say, let's lease them our beautiful launching areas and let them send all the rockets. Let them pay for it. But we'll be landing on Mars. We're going to the moon. We're going to Mars. We'll be the first on Mars. Let's see if that happens. We have to do it. If we're here, it's going to happen. If somebody else is here, probably not. But I just want to, again, thank you from the bottom of my heart. You're incredible warriors. You have incredible strength. You have unbelievable intelligence and patience. It's a combination of both. I don't know which is greater, the intelligence or the patience, but let's assume it's the intelligence, okay? But I have to tell you, I think we have the greatest base of support anywhere, at any time, any election, and people are starting to find that out. They found it out in 2016, and I will be honest, this election, I believe we have far greater enthusiasm in this election.
That's right.
And we had a level that was a record, because they still don't believe what happened. They said, where are all these people coming from, right?
We love you.
People that were great Americans that never voted, but they were great because they didn't like who they were watching or looking. People were great. They didn't vote. I'll never forget, a congressman from Tennessee came up. They do very early voting. Tennessee, a great state. And they had just started voting, and I was in Pennsylvania making a speech, and he said, sir, I don't know, I can't speak for anybody, but I'm from Tennessee, and I've been doing this for a long time. He said, I've never seen anything like it. People are coming from the valleys and the hilltops, and they're coming from the cities. They're coming from all over. I never said they're coming out of the rivers. They're coming along those beautiful war fields that we have. They're coming from everywhere. Sir, I've never seen anything like it. But if other states are like Tennessee, you're going to win this election. He was the first one to say it. He was the first one. They came from the mountains. They came from everywhere. He said, I've never seen anything like it. And people that be having Trump pants and the hats, these are people that never were political people. They never wore a pin in their life having to do with politics. It's been an incredible experience for me. It's been an incredible experience, I think, for everyone. And I'll tell you what, next year is going to be it's going to be a great, great year. It's going to be a year of tremendous success. We're fighting off this horrible thing. And we're never going to forget it, and I let them know. We're never going to forget what they did. Because you know what? We're going to do great economic last year in the history of your state. But we're going to do better economically than we did last year. But we can never forget the 175,000 people, which will go up. Remember this, though. We saved millions because if we didn't move, and if I didn't put the ban on highly, heavily infected people coming to our nation from China that everybody told me not to do, months later they were saying we shouldn't, and then they all either apologized or admitted it was right. And Europe, I did Europe too, very early. If we didn't do that, our numbers would be at a level like you wouldn't believe. So I just want to thank everybody for this incredible support. Be very, very careful. This is going to be, and I really believe this is the most important election in the history of our country.
It is.
Don't let them take it away from you. Don't let them take it away. North Carolina, we love you. That's why I'm here. Thank you very much. Very special people. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you.